Hey y'all, it's Steve, Hobo with Wood. And this video is actually one of my videos I would normally do for Patreon and my patrons. But I'm sharing this video with everyone on YouTube, but not the files. The files are for my patrons. But this is a really cool idea, especially for the holidays. It's paper tea lights. Paper tea lights. Hang around. This is going to be a fun video. So I shared a file with my patrons on Patreon last week, and it was my wooden tea lights. Just a cube, and put your geometric shapes in there, and a little place for your tea light, a little votive candle, whatever. Now these are made out of wood, and a candle would be okay if it was in a glass jar or something, but those little battery operated flameless candles are my choice. But these were the files that I shared with my patrons last week, and I had some interest expressed about my paper tea lights. And I've discussed those once before on YouTube, but not in as great a detail, and not as to a large there's a lot more of you now than there was then. So a bunch of you have not seen this. That's what I was trying to say. So I use 80-pound cardstock, just plain old construction paper, but it needs to be at least 80-pound, 92-pound cardstock in order for it to be firm enough and rigid enough to fold up and make the cube. And let's show you an example of one. This is one that I've got cut out with my logo in the center there. And this is just raw paper. I haven't done anything special to it, obviously, and she looks a little naked as is. Then you can also do optional where you do just a perforated image. Like here's a snowflake. If you tried to cut that out and it all fell away, well, the inner pieces, the little diamonds, that also fall away, and it wouldn't look good. So I did a perforation around the whole thing, and with those being perforated, the light will actually come through. The candle light will actually come through there, and that looks pretty neat like that. And I played with a couple different methods of doing the perforation to create that snowflake, and it had a neat effect to it. But I want to up it a little bit. I want to up the game. Like I said, this was just practice paper to get the design figured out, and a plain white tea light can work in certain conditions, certain environments, certain parties, atmospheres. But who likes plain? I don't like plain. So the same paper, but I added a fill behind the cutout, and this one's got the candle in it, so you can see the candle flickering through there. And that adds a layer of ups the presentation value of the tea light. You get all kinds of colors. Like I said, this was just an ivory 80-pound cardstock. But to make it really nice, you can go with something like that. Now that's glitter cardstock with just a tissue paper behind the cutout. And you know what, I don't know how much darker it'll get, but we'll try how much better that'll show up, if at all. But that is a nice tea light that cost 35 cents, give or take, to make that, plus a quarter for the little battery operated light. And if you're doing something for the holidays, be it for just a family get together, or if it's something for at the church function, whatever, This is a very inexpensive way to add a little touch of something special for very little money. Very, very, very little money. That's why it's an inexpensive way. And this is a very simple design. Let's jump over to Lightburn and take a look at how this is done. So here we have the template laid out on a 8.5 by 11 toolpath. And you can see the one tea light will consume pretty much all of 8.5 by 11. Now if you get the 12 by 12 cardstock, you're going to end up having a lot of waste, because if you cut it at this size, which is really kind of the perfect size for those little battery operated tea lights, on a 12 by 12 piece of cardstock, you'll have a lot of waste because you can't get 2 out of it. And if you shrink it down to get 2 out of them, they're kind of too small. So if you're going to buy the paper, and I'll have a link to the papers that I recommend, and you don't want to get double-sided cardstock. You want to get single-sided, because when you cut this, especially if you go with a glitter cardstock, you want to go with a single-sided, and you want to cut it face down. Now back to Lightburn here. So I've got a lot of different paths going on here. This blue layer is just a tool path showing you that's the 8.5 by 11. Let's turn that off. Now with that turned off, I've still got another tool path here, which is just these arrows. And those arrows are on there to remind me that that is the direction that the image needs to be sitting. This way up, this way up. Because these are going to fold down and fold and be glued to these little tabs here. These are my glue tabs. So if I turn off that tool layer, now there's 2 layers left, which is the red layer and the green layer. Now the difference is the green layer is a perforation. It is not a cut. Perforation? Yep, perforation. There is a mode in Lightburn, and I'm going to double click this layer and open it up. Right here is perforation mode. If you turn it off, now you're just in a regular cut mode. Turn that back on. Now you can set up your cuts and skip measurements on how much you want the perforation to be. Now let's put this in metric, because I'm pretty sure I do 1.5. Let's see. Yeah, I do a 1 millimeter cut and a 0.5 millimeter skip. 1 millimeter cut and a 0.5 millimeter skip, and that gives me, with the 80-pound cardstock or the 92-pound cardstock, that gives me a really good bendable, flexible, but still the integrity is not extremely compromised by that fold and cut. But that green path, in fact, if we look, we'll just select just that layer and go to preview. You can see what Lightburn's doing. Got a 1 millimeter cut and a 0.5 millimeter skip, making that a perfect perforated square, not a rectangle. Perfectly perforated. Now that's 4 perforations, and then this is the bottom, which has also got the 4 perforations. So this folds up, this one folds up, this one folds up. You fold that up toward the other, and you fold this down. So this, if we turn that back on, you'll see this is where one of the images goes. There'll be an engraving cut out here, here, and here. And you just fold it all up and make a nice cube. Put you a couple little dots of glue on each of those tabs. I use a pencil and pencil eraser inserted through the cutout here to help hold those tabs up flat against my sides so that I get a good contact and she glues up nice and stays perfectly square. But this is very simple and very easy to make. The template is not that difficult to make, and I'm going to show you how to design this. But for my patrons, all of my patrons, gold, silver, and bronze, they all get this week as a free file to download. But I'm going to show you here on YouTube how to make this. And that way, if you if you're not a patron, you've not wasted your time. You say, "Oh, I can do that. It's easy peasy." Let's do. Let's see. What is this? A 2.5 inch? Let's see. Come here to that one. Millimeters, inches. Yeah, about it's right at 2.5 inch square. So let's take this, and I'm gonna move it over here out the way, and I'm gonna draw a square 2.5 inches. .5 inches square. Now I'm going to go into my grid array, and I'm going to do 0 X spacing and 0 Y spacing, and I'm going to do 3 columns, and I'm going to do 4 rows, and say OK. Now, of that, I can now delete that, select that and delete that, delete both of those and delete both of those. Now I've got the general layout there. Actually, I'm going to bring those two on the edge back. I'm going to go undo, 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 and we're going to get rid of this one and this one. Now, immediately we can take and put this one on a separate layer, which will be the green layer, which is what I'm going to use for perforation. And let's move this one over so I can grab this one and put it on the green layer. And now I can move this one back. 1, 2, there we go. So now I've got both of my top and bottom perforated. The others are going to be cut. And let's see here. Actually, I'm going to modify these. And actually, I need another one down there on the bottom too. So I'm going to say Control D, duplicate that. I'll move it down here and bring it right up there. There we go. Because I'm going to have to modify these to make my glue tabs. And I'm going to have to weld these together. Let's see. Alright. I'm going to do this. I'm going to turn off my red for a second. I'm going to duplicate this one, Control D, put that back on the red path, and then turn on the red and turn off the green. Now, all of these can be welded together. Is it going to let me weld those? No, you can't. You can only do 2 at a time. Weld that. There we go. Weld that. Weld that. And weld that. Now if I turn my perforation back on, you can see there's the perforation, and I've got my 4 sides going down. Alright. Now let's look down here. Let's turn that off and show that. Okay. I got to do the same thing at the bottom. But before I do, I'm going to modify the 3 glue tabs. Alright, what I'm going to do, excuse me, I want to put a node about 10 millimeters up. I don't want to do this. Been a while since and actually, you know what? I need to put my circle in there on the cut layer. Let's get that in there. This is the top. Let's draw a perfect circle. And we're going to make it 2 inches. And put it in the center of that perforation. There we go. So that's good. That's ready to cut. Now, here, I can do this a couple of different ways. In fact, this is what I'm going to do. I'm not even going to do the nodes. I'm going to just select that square, and I am going to actually I'm going to convert that to a path. Edit, convert to a path, show my nodes. I'm going to come in here, I'm going to hit the letter M as in Mary, and then I'm going to select all three of these, and I'm going to bring it in here until I get it down to about 1/4 of an inch, about like that. Now I'm going to hit this one, and I'm going to hover over that middle node and say smooth, S, the letter S, and I'm going to bring it down, not the whole thing. Oh, come on now. I only want to move this node by selecting it, and I'm going to move it down like so. Okay, that'll work. In fact, I'll bring all three of those up just a little bit, about like that. And actually, I can get rid of these because I'm not going to modify all three of them. I'll just take this one, Control D, duplicate it, bring it over here. We're going to mirror it and then dock it, and I'm going to duplicate it again with Control D. I'm going to rotate it and then center it up. And now we'll bring her down below it and then dock it back to the top. Actually, before I do that though, I'm going to say Control D, duplicate that, put it on a red path, turn the green path off. Now I'm going to dock this one straight up. And now I will select both of them and dock it, or not dock it, weld it. Weld it and weld it. Oh, wrong way. There we go. And one more time. Weld it. Turn my green path back on. Now I've got my perforations. I got glue tabs. And that is ready to cut out. It's that easy. Now, like I said, the arrows and all that are just reminders that you need to, which way you need to orient your graphic. If that's something that you would need to do, if you're going to do this yourself, you know, you could even do something as simple as this. Take a font, any font, and type a capital V, and then just rotate it. Put it in there and say, in fact, what I do, I'll get her in the center right there and say Control D, duplicate that, rotate it, bring it up here, get it in the center, Control D, duplicate it, rotate it, and center. Oh, there we go. And one more time. This one I can say Control D. I can mirror it and just arrow it over. And that right there is a reminder that that's pointing to the top. That's where it needs to be oriented. So, and then put those on a toolpath so you don't cut them out. Put all of them on a toolpath. There you go. Now you've just made yourself that quick, that easy, a tea light. Now, I'm going to put that back over here. I'm going to show you the cardstocks that I like. Let's see here. Let's go to a new tab. And I'm going to put these links below. Now, these are my Amazon affiliate links. But if you go to Hobo with Wood, hobowithwood.com/gold, silver, cardstock. It's going to take you to this one. It's 8.5 by 11, and it's 250 GSM, which I think is about 92 pound cardstock. So it's a little bit heavier than the 80 pound, but not so heavy that it doesn't work with the perforation, and you can cut it really easy with the laser. I'd cut it with a 10-watt laser. So anything, you can do it probably with the 5, just take you a little longer. But it's 8.5 by 11, 200 sheets, and you're getting these pages for 15 cents a piece. 15 cents a piece. It is single-sided, so you want to put the glitter side down so that your laser's not hitting the glitter and being refracted all over the place and bouncing off and hitting you in the eyeball because you ain't wearing your glasses. But this is gold and silver, and this is great for the holidays, be it for Thanksgiving and or Christmas. But that's my gold and silver. And if you go to Hobo with Wood /red green, like the Red Green Show, love red green, red green cardstock. That takes you to 50 sheets and 8.5 by 11. It's also 250 GSM or 92 pound cardstock. This is 32 cents a sheet, but it's the cheapest that I found for the right size, because the 12 by 12 is a little bit more expensive and you got a whole lot more waste, but this is perfect for Christmas and or any events or holidays. But green and red and gold and silver, those that get you through this holiday season, and you can make some really cool tea lights for just pennies, literally pennies. And then let's see, what is my tea lights? I think it's hobowithwood.com/ is it just tea lights? Yep, there's my tea lights. You see, I purchased them. It's been a year ago. This time last year, I purchased my last pack of 100, and I've still got a few. But a pack of 100, they're 27 cents a piece. So you got, what was that, 40, right at 50 cents in total cost in your tea light. If you're doing the gold and silver, I think it was, you're making these things for less than $1. If you're going to make them and sell them, you could sell them for $2.50, $3, yeah, probably $2.50 a piece. And you're going to have on your average party, you'll probably have 10 or 20 of them, and you do them at $10.50 a piece or $2.50 a piece. So $100 for a set of custom personalized tea lights that they're not going to find anywhere else. It's quick, easy, and very profitable. So this video originally was going to be just for my patrons. Like I said, I already shared with them the wooden files. They've expressed interest in having the paper file, so I'm sending that to them now after posting this video. I've shown you on YouTube how quickly you can do this. It's not very hard to set that design up. But if you would consider becoming a patron on patreon.com, this file and the wooden cube are the last two posts that I shared with all 3 levels. I don't typically share all 3 levels equally, of course. Gold gets more files or more graphics with the files. The silver gets a little less, and bronze usually gets just the basic template design. But any support would be greatly appreciated. I'm going to get out of here. Got a lot to get done, and I will see you in the next video. I'm Steve, Hobo with Wood, and I'm out.